All right, a little break here in the action in Fulton County, in the courthouse there in Georgia, where the judge is hearing closing arguments over whether to kick District Attorney Fani Willis off Donald Trump's election interference case due to that romantic relationship she had with co-prosecutor Nathan Wade. Defense lawyers are arguing that Willis benefited financially by hiring Wade and even suggested they both committed perjury while testifying about the timing of their relationship. Let's bring in our executive editorial producer, John Santucci, also our contributor and former Georgia prosecutor, Chris Timmons. Olivia Rubin is outside the courthouse there. Let us know when we have her. But, Chris, let's go ahead and start with you. From what you've heard so far, highlights. What stands out?
Sure. So there were a lot of ethical rules that were mentioned during the case. I won't bore you with the numbers, but the two of them that stood out. One is the extrajudicial statements. And what that means is you can't, outside a courtroom, condemn a defendant. I mean, obviously, when you're in a courtroom, you're going to point at somebody and accuse them of crimes. But outside the courtroom, you can't say that somebody's guilty. And that's one of the arguments they were making. The other argument that they were making has to do with candor to the court. You can't lie in a courtroom if you're an attorney of any kind, whether you're a defense attorney, whether you're a prosecutor. So in this particular case, that was the two allegations that were made that were kind of the big allegations. And they were made by Steve Sadow, who is Trump's main attorney in this case. I think out of all of the attorneys, he was probably the most effective. Second would be John Merchant.
Olivia, I understand we've got you now in front of the cameras. How about you? Your thoughts so far?
Well, I think what Chris just hit on regarding the truthfulness of Willis and Wade's testimony was very important, and he really came out swinging, saying that they were not truthful with the timeline of the relationship. And I think something that we also just heard from Harry McDougald, who is the attorney for ex-DOJ official Jeff Clark, who's also charged in this case, was trying to make a bigger argument than just what these hearings have focused on. He was trying to say it's not just the financial conflict of interest, it's not just the untruthfulness of Willis and Wade, but he put forth to the court that there were actually 6 different points at which the Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has found herself in the midst of a conflict of interest. He said one of them is financial, of course, which is what we've heard about the most, but that it spanned well beyond that. And he sort of got heated at one point, pointing at Nathan Wade, who's inside of the courtroom, trying to make a point about what he's saying. And he wrapped up his remarks by saying that the district attorney's office had become a laughing stock because of everything that occurred with the Fulton County District Attorney. So a bigger argument from Harry McDougald, trying to broaden it out from just the financial, saying that there were 6 different points at which the judge could find to disqualify Fani Willis.
Chris, let me ask you something, and I'm really going to get technical because we sort of all noticed it, and our ears kind of perked up as we heard lawyers. It was the language talking about, as we're hearing about, I mean, Olivia talking about the DA's office being a laughing stock. They were really going after Fani Willis's character. They weren't very respectful when they were talking about a romantic relationship. It was very, you just heard sex, sex, sex. Well, when she was having sex or not having sex or before having sex, it was kind of a degrading way to talk about the relationship. And then bringing up the church speech and referring to her. It is Fani Willis in the courtroom, actually. We just got these live pictures. Should we be surprised? No. I mean, remember when she showed up in the courtroom and basically started working her way forward to sit down and testify? She's decided to show up again, feeling very confident, smiling, winking at folks. So this should be interesting, the fact that she's there for closing arguments, sitting right up there in front. So is she, I wonder what's going to happen here. That could be interesting. So, Chris, I'll ask you that in a second. But just back to the language, it just felt kind of icky, to be blunt, how they were describing her and Nathan Wade in this relationship. And then kind of went a little, I don't know, was that racist, how they were referring to her church speech several times? And I don't know, maybe I'm on a bridge to nowhere here, but it kind of made us all squirm.
Yeah, Carrie, you're absolutely right. I mean, it was cringy at times. And just like you said, it was icky. when they're talking about the sexual relationship between the district attorney and the special prosecutor, the chief special prosecutor in the case, Nathan Wade. I think what they're trying to do, though, is, smear the entire prosecution. I think what they want to do is make the case icky, one that people don't want to deal with. And all of that is aimed at the potential jurors in this particular case. I mean, I really think what they're trying to do here is, I don't think they're going to win the battle. Maybe they do, but most people don't think they're going to win the battle. They're not going to end up with a disqualification. But what they need to do at the end of the day is win the war. If this case goes to trial, they need jurors thinking that this case is icky, that this case is cringy. And if that's the case, then you might get one or two jurors who are thinking that this case is so cringy, so icky, that the district attorney's office shouldn't be bringing it. And as a result of that, the defendants are not guilty. Kira.
Okay, one more question to you before we get to John, because we weren't expecting to see Fani Willis, I don't think, in the courtroom. Are you surprised? Is this, normal standing operating procedure during closing arguments where she's sitting there up front and kind of going over things and chit-chatting with people? She looks pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, well, she's a courtroom veteran, Kira, so she's going to be comfortable at state counsel. I mean, when I was a prosecutor, I probably spent more time sitting at the counsel table for the state than I did in my own office. There were certain years there where I felt like I never actually got to see my office. And so she, as a courtroom veteran, is going to be somebody who's very comfortable at that table. It's an interesting move for her to show up. I mean, I think probably after this hearing is over, if she does survive, if she is able to continue on this case, I think her best move is for Nathan Wade to graciously excuse himself and for her to return to her office and not move forward. Looks like the judge is coming back in, since everybody is sitting down and stood up immediately. So, Kira, thank you for the time.
Absolutely. And John, real quickly, before we dip back in, are we hearing anything from Trump camp?
No, I think they're quite satisfied with Steve Sadow. One attorney texting me in real time, Kira, they wish Steve had more time to speak, thinking that he was the most effective, agreeing with the comments of Chris Timmons there. Look, I think the reality is they're hoping for some type of a ruling today because they think they're going to get a ruling in Florida. So, go for all three, get everything delayed, but they're going to wait and see.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.